The idea behind blockchain technology was described in 1991 when research scientists Stuart Hubbard and W. Scott Stornetta introduced a computationally practical solution for time-stamped digital documents so they couldn't be modified or manipulated. Emiliano Piocaris, in his book Blockchain and Smart Contract, gives us a definition that refers to the blockchain as an decentralized, autonomous, auditable, and reliable record or database, and a system that guarantees trust to the point that individuals who do not trust each other can interact in a secure way without unreliable method. Blockchain and database. We can say that traditional blockchain is like a database, in the sense that it proves a storage mechanism. However, if we compare a Bitcoin blockchain, for example, with a traditional database, we realize that in the blockchain the performance is only a few transactions per second. The capacity is few tens gigabytes. Also, adding nodes causes more problems. With node duplicator, network traffic is quadruplated with no improvements in performance, latency, or capacity. It also had essential node queries. Decentralization. This decentralization technology holds great promise for modifying modern financial systems and supply chains, creative industries, and even the internet itself. This is why the blockchain is based on the decentralization model. Distributed database. All the big internet companies and many small ones run big data distributed databases, including Facebook, Google, Amazon, and Netflix. Distributed database really store petabytes, 1 million of gigabytes, or more content. In contrast, the Bitcoin blockchain currently stores 50 gigabytes. Let's take Cassandra as an example. Cassandra is a distributed database, but not any distributed database, but rather it has something that can make a difference with respect to other databases. Both traditional, it's that the system can be scaled horizontally by adding nodes based on hardware. Netflix uses Cassandra for its searches. A 3-year follow-up study showed a throughput of 1 million writes per second on the platform with just a few dozen nodes. In Cassandra, the performance of this database increased as the number of nodes increased. The scale was linear. Each node stores data. Each node only stores a subset of all the data. That is it as partial replication. In the Netflix example, each data has 3 copies in the system. That is a replication factor of 3. Partial replication allows an increase in the number of nodes to increase storage capacity. This type of distributed base that occupy nodes for their operation as if they were safe blockchains and with better performance.
Algorithms. As we saw before, Cassandra stores only some of the data on each node. Each bit of data is replicated across multiple nodes. The nodes responsible for replicate some data use as consequence algorithm to make sure they agreed on what to store. For this, Cassandra uses the Paxos consequence algorithm. The relevant node will reach an agreement event if some of them don't respond. Paxos. The Paxos consequence algorithm is one of the many algorithms designed to solve the communication problem in distributed systems. Generally speaking, the communication problem is how to get a bunch of isolated computing processes to agree on something, when some of them can become faulty and can only communicate but bipartite message. The best node consequence algorithm is Paxos. It was first published by Lambton in 1998. Exos is a language used in Google, Microsoft, Opera Replica, VMware, Extreme FS, and many more. Exos is notoriously difficult to understand and risky to implement. For this, Raft was specially designed for edge understanding, and therefore has less risk and implementation. Digital signature, asymmetric encryptation. Asymmetric cryptography is also called 2K or 2K cryptography, unlike 1K cryptography. 2K cryptography avoids the problem that unlock K is also intercepted by an enemy, and with this our message is exposed. The big change database case. Rather than trying to scale blockchain technology, big change database starts with a big data distributed base, and not blockchain transactions are the most basic type of record stored by big change database. There are two types: creator transactions and transfers transactions. A transfer transaction transfer ownership of the assets to the new owner and assigns a new spending conditions. A transaction is replaced by the JSON document with the following structure: ID, the hash of everything with the body of the serialized transaction. The ID is also the primary key of the database. Version number of the transaction model, so the software can support different transaction models. Fulfillments. Completeness list. A completeness is usually a signature that proves the ownership of the asset. Conditions. List conditions. Each condition is a cryptographic condition that you need to transfer transaction to fluid in to order to transfer ownership to a new owner.
Operation. String representation of the operation being performed, create or transfer. Timestamp. Creation time of the evolution in UTC. It is provided by the customer. Hash. The hash of the serialized payload. Payload can be any JSON document. It may be empty in the case of transfer. Block model. A block is represented by a JSON document containing the following structure. ID, the hash of the serialized block. This is also a primary key to the database. That's how we make sure all blocks are unique. Timestamp. Timestamp when the block was created. Transactions. A list of transactions included in the block. Node pub key. The public key of the node that created the block. Voters. A list of node public keys. Signature. Signature of the block by the node that created the block. Votes. Initially an empty list. New votes are added as they come from nodes. Each node must generate a vote for each block, which is added to the votes of that list block. A vote has the following structure. Validate transaction. Transactions valid. Loop through all transactions. Depends on undecided block. Clarifies what it means to depend on an undecided block. Blockchain use cases with DDBs. Use cases focus on situations where higher performance, lower latency, or more storage capacity is required, where powerful queries or permissions are useful. Manage the performance of high-volume payment processors and directly store contracts, receipts, or other related documents in the database along with the actual transaction. Another example is Bitcoin 2.0 applications to keep transactions cost reasonable.